Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Micon Podcast. I'm Sheung Okimbaloye. Let's dive right in with a question for everyone listening. Should Nigeria's social media space be regulated? Those in favor of regulation argue it is necessary to tackle harmful content like hate speech, defamation, and misinformation. They also believe it could help safeguard national security by curbing online radicalization and holding platforms accountable for the content they host. On the flip side, critics warn that such regulation could infringe on freedom of expression and create opportunities for government overreach, potentially silencing dissent and stifling public discourse. So where do you stand? This debate is not new. Years ago, a certain senator said he was heckled by all manner of comment and order. Senator Bala Ibn Nala sparked controversy when he sponsored a bill proposing a 2-year jail term for spreading false information online. The bill ignited widespread discussion, and the conversation around social media regulation remains as heated as ever. Today on the program, Senator Bala Ibn Nala joins me to delve into this topic, explore Nigeria's politics, and discuss other pressing issues of national importance. Senator, it's good to have you join us on the Micon Podcast.
I'm happy I'm joining you many years after my prediction.
Yeah, let me remind a lot of those who are watching us tonight what you said. And I'm going to play back some of the things that you said. Some of the reactions, online reactions at the time, I'm going to also play it. And it will probably refresh our memories about the devil a lot of people saw in Ibn Nala. Let's watch.
This country, at this level of our history, needs that bill seriously. If we must be taken serious as a very serious nation. And this is not new in other jurisdictions.
And right now, somebody wants to make all of us to be poisonous. And we say no to that. We say no to that. We are coming here as citizens of Nigeria who have a right, who stood so many hours on the queue to vote for the same people who want to make us poisonous.
One thing that is, if you've seen that, one thing that is also fundamental is that I'll give you a collage of some of what has become a major concern on the social media space. That the police are suing one person, some persons who are angry and aggrieved about the kind of statement that are being made on social media. Even within the gospel music sector, there are issues over there. The National Security Advisor had also told certain politician to withdraw the statement. This politician also responded and said, no, I will not withdraw it. There's a case between one of the oldest Nigerian lawyers and another lawyer about the issue of defamation. It has become a major issue. Lawyers are now becoming experts in defamation. And there's been a lot of argument about the issues of the law of defamation. Senator Ibn Nala. Years later, there's an escalation of issues relating to social media. Let me get your view about what is going on the social media today.
Well, Sheung, I'm happy that I can remember vividly, if my memory has not failed me, that in my last interview with you, I said, Nigerians may argue here or there about the regulation of social media, but at the end of it, years to come, after the damage must have been done, they will come looking for it, and then it will have been too late. Now, information, you know better than myself, is normally allowed to grow vis-a-vis responsibility. And that's why, if you remember, since independence, when we had the National Broadcasting Code and all these issues, they were intended to regulate the dissemination of information in an intricately volatile society like Nigeria. And the reason being that our heroes past have done whatever is humanly possible to work towards the unity of this country. by bringing a lot of programs, NYSC, federal universities, federal government colleges, and all those were necessary things that were intended to unite a country that came together, just by fiat. And our leaders saw the danger of allowing, free flow of information that will do to that kind of result. And they decided that, look, we must do something about it. So when social media came, and I'm sure this should be about 9 years or 10 years ago, I felt as a lawmaker, why can't we do something by way of regulation? Because I was aware that Section 24 of the Cybercrime Act has been passed and it's too fluid and it's going to give police and other security agencies a lot of leverages to deal with supposed enemies or whatever. And I felt, look, let us find a defined law that will regulate this social media bill. When that bill went through the second reading, it was subjected to public hearing. Gladdingly, the Chief Justice of Nigeria came before the public hearing and said he has read the length and breadth of that law and it has not infringed in any of the provisions of our Constitution. That was very, very important to me. So today, I can say everyone has become a victim. Shehu, if you are not one, I will be surprised.
I have petitions.
Exactly, yeah. But you see, managing it now is going to be more difficult for both government and individuals. And then it's going to bring a lot of hatred, rancorous situation. That is not helpful.
But what you were proposing,
Yes.
Senator,
Yeah.
is it sounded like you want the people to be gagged.
No.
The social media has given people the opportunity to freely express themselves. But what you are saying is that as though you want people's mouth to be sealed and people to be gagged.
No, if you look at that law, it was carefully couched. Carefully couched. And if the members of the society or the citizens have carefully understood that law, it was more to their benefit, than leaving the Section 24 of the Cybercrime Act to continue. But unfortunately, we were just coming from an election where the then president wanted to be a popular person and felt that everything should be allowed to go the way it is. And to me, that was not leadership.
So what did you intend at the time?
Thank you.
What was your what did you see?
The necessary intendment of that law was to say, look, the law says you have right to swing your arm. But the same law says, whereby doing so, you will be hitting another person's nose. That right stops there. And therefore, if you have to put anything on social media that affects Shehu or affects Na'Allah or affects anyone, you must be sure that you are putting what you are sure is correct. Just the recent example you are now putting between Ribadu and Najatu. Mm-hmm. You can see that Najatu made a statement. Ribadu wanted a retraction and apology, and she said, look, I'm not going to apologize because what I have said is being reported not only by me, but I have additional evidence from other places to say you actually said that. You can see how the argument is going. So that law is to protect this kind of situation. You understand? But unfortunately, I told you, the euphoria of coming out from election and then leaders wanting to be seen to be the best of human beings, never saw the wisdom in that. But in law, there is what we refer to as doctrine of reasonable foreseeability. And that is what a reasonable person acting reasonably should have capacity to foresee. Unfortunately, I saw that and others didn't see it. Today, the damage that has been done, I am not so sure is recoverable. I am not so sure.
So you think that the nation has lost a lot from not allowing that your law to go through?
Exactly. Even the youths who are fighting against that law, they have lost a lot. They have lost a lot because they will have loved to be raised in a society where they can have some level of accountability, from their leaders by way of being allowed to put in what they believe is correct, and then they are protected by law. Today, if I sit down and look at what happens morally, on the social media, if I look at what is even happening. Virtually every institution has been destroyed. You are a witness. You see how one malam will be going to on social media to discredit another malam. You see how one pastor will be going to say the other pastor is this. And we don't need this kind of society.
Is social media destroying our society?
It is.
Really?
It is. The damage.
You don't think it's fostering societal development and conversation, freedom, speech?
It does. But Shehu, take the balance. The good and the bad. If Nigerians, with due respect, were to use the social media with the level of discipline that dissemination of information, requires, there is no wahala. But you see, here you are with somebody who says, look, I have spent the best of my life trying to make sure that my integrity is intact, and then just one day, somebody will just go under a tree because he has the privilege of having an iPhone. He says, look, Shehu, don't you know that you are the most useless person on earth? Don't you know that I know? And all these are false. Then you begin to scamper. How many people have read this? You cannot, by the time, even if, for example, you say your own version of the story, a lot of people will have gone with the impression that this is what you are. That is not good for human development. It's not nice.
Are you worried that this is going to really destroy our society, or is going to have a very damning consequence on our society?
Well, the consequences are obvious. There is no point to state the obvious. I am not so sure it will benefit you if I start telling you that you have two eyes. Everyone knows this. But if we choose to deny the truth, then we have the problem. Like my Quran will say, they will seek for peace, but they will never find it because they have rejected the truth. This is the situation. You see, this country, when I sit down and I try to interrogate the thinking, the idea of governance and leadership, I get a bit worried. You see, as a leader, you have responsibility to steer the society in such a way that there will be maximum peace, maximum love between the people you govern. So if you steer the society in such a manner that you want to give that unfettered freedom to some people, to damage others, and then no consequence, nothing, I'm not so sure that kind of society will be a society that is ready for growth and development. Is
the advantage or the positives of social media to our society less than the danger? You think the danger is more?
The advantage of social media is more than the disadvantage. But I'm telling you, the irresponsible use of social media has rendered almost the advantage to nothing. You understand? Because if you build and then you destroy, how does that help you?
So social media is destroying our society.
It is. If I tell you morally, if I tell you the level of moral damage that social media has done to Nigerian society, is unquantifiable. And everybody knows this.
Should the president of the day be worried about the consequence?
Well, he himself is a victim. I have read somewhere where he said he doesn't even read social media anymore. If it is good, if it's something that is good, why will a whole president of 200 million Nigerians refuse to? Me, I devote 1 hour every day for social media. I devote 1 hour for radio, and I devote another 1 hour for television, just to have an idea. What are the polls outside? How do people see us as leaders? How you understand? And you cannot run away from that. The ordinary man on the street is the man who knows what he feels, how he feels it, and then the effect on him. And if you don't listen to him, he doesn't have access to you. But he has access to Berkete family, he has access to channel, maybe if he run into you somewhere, he has access to other means of dissemination of information. And then you can see what his thinking is. And so if you know what his thinking is, there are some that may not necessarily be correct.
Well, are you worried that what you are saying today, they will come after you?
Who?
People on social media.
I don't care.
Really?
Yeah, no. You see,
they came after you once.
Yes, and has that affected me? Have I not been vindicated today? Have I not been vindicated? You see, as a leader, when you want to tell people the truth, you must have the conviction that you are saying it out of love for those people. So if they come after you either based on ignorance, mischief, or any other consideration, that's a different matter. But you see, if I am to be in my grave today, Sheung, if discussion is going to be centered around social media, you will say, Senator Na'Allah have said this.
Senator, you in 2015, you proposed a draft bill to prohibit frivolous petitions.
Yes.
Which sparked that controversy. The bill required individuals to swear an affidavit in courts to verify the truth of their petitions, essentially making it illegal to start a petition without doing so.
Exactly.
What prompted this?
Thank you. You see, I don't know whether you have had the opportunity to read the case of Onagura versus the state. My memory has not failed me. I think it's part 157 of Nigerian Weekly Law Report. In that case, if you read it thoroughly, Justice Nikitobi aptly captured the character of Nigerian society. And he said, and I hope my memory will not fail me, that the Nigerian polity, more than anyone known to me, is one of suspicion and suspect. It is one society where the slightest aberrant conduct of an individual, no matter how malified, is read with so much suspicion. Suspicion is the hobby of an average Nigerian. He does not only vegetate on it, he enjoys it, more especially where the end result is to damage or destroy the character of another person, unquote. It went on and we said happily enough the Nigerian Constitution made prohibition for presumption of innocence and that. The idea was, look, you want to petition against Sheung? Yes. Sheung is married, Sheung has children, maybe part of his duty is to take these children to school in the morning by way of division. Then you just sit down and write petition that you know is not correct. And you submit it to security agencies. And the security agencies cannot look the other way. They will investigate. And therefore, the first step is to take away Sheung from his house. Sorry to use this example. That affects the children. It affects the family. It affects a lot of other things. So if you must do that, why does it become a burden for you to swear to an affidavit that what you are saying is correct? So that petition ceases to be frivolous, it now becomes a genuine petition worthy of being looked into by security agencies. That was the necessary intendment, But people didn't see it that way.
And you think it could have helped the cause of criminal prosecution?
Exactly.
Or criminal justice delivery in Nigeria?
Exactly.
But, I mean,
let me tell you.
As that didn't see the light of day.
Petitions have destroyed the civil service of this country. There are situations where people sit down and write petition against a chief executive of a government person simply because they want him removed for somebody to take in. And the man coming in might even be a criminal coming to take over. So you see, no matter how we try to look at this, the consequences are varied, and unfortunately, we have not given that section, that part, a serious consideration.
I'll take you back to, and I look at some of the things that you have moved and failed. How does it make you feel?
I feel good.
Even when some of this bill did not see the light of day?
Yes, because it has afforded me, even if with nothing, the opportunity to sit down and say, I am vindicated. Not because I'm happy being vindicated, but because when given the opportunity as a leader, I acted in the best interest of the country.
Let me take you back to the social media bill. Looking at the reactions that arose from the proposal of that bill, do you agree that that bill would have posed an infringement on freedom of speech and expression of the citizen? Do you still think that that bill should be passed into law?
I told you, what is the highest decision-making in the interpretation of law in Nigeria? It's the Supreme Court. You can go and check record. The Chief Justice of Nigeria came and said he has read that law thoroughly, and he has not found anywhere where it has infringed on the provision of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What statement can be more serious than that one? What statement?
Do you think that it should be revisited?
Let me tell you.
If that bill as it is right now be revisited, you think that maybe there will be some adjustments?
Let me tell you, Shehu, let me tell you one character of human beings. It is better for you to restrict somebody from doing what he does not know the how do I put it? Okay, it is better for you to control somebody from something that he does not know, than controlling him after he knows about that thing. Now, people are aware now that they can go to social media, malign anybody, say whatever they like, you understand, without consequences, taking advantage of our slow judicial process, you understand? So, if, for example, 9 years back when I proposed this law, it has been passed into law, and then certain restrictions have been put in place to make sure that this principle of saying no right is absolute is upheld, we will not have been in this situation. Shehu, I am telling you, you cannot quantify the damage that social media has done to this country and other countries too, in terms of morals alone.
So there's a breakdown of morality.
There is. You know. You know.
But if there are countries that you could use as a model that we could use or we could follow, which countries would this be?
Saudi Arabia. And someone may say, well, Saudi Arabia is not a secular state, therefore Nigeria is secular. Why are you citing Saudi Arabia? China too is controlling that.
People think that China is extreme.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. What is important is that they are able to focus their people on productivity. You have them all over the country now.
And gag their people not be able to speak.
They didn't gag their people. They channel them to responsibly use social media for development. That's what they did. And today you have them everywhere. They are building your roads. They are building your everything. They are here. So how?
So you think that Nigerians should be like zombies? Whatever government says they should do, they do.
No. Maybe that is a wrong understanding of not zombies. What we are saying is that Nigerians should begin to imbibe some level of responsibility when it comes to dissemination of hate speech, misinformation, fake news, you understand, and all those things that have capacity, to dislocate the already fragile, unity that we are trying to build as a country.
The fear is the possibility of the loss of freedom of expression and freedom of speech. Is there a way that it could be regulated? Censorship on one hand, regulation on another hand, but how do you balance the act such that the Nigerian people do not lose one thing that they have, their freedom?
Well, you see, that freedom of expression is contained in the Constitution. Is that not true? If you have the whole Chief Justice of Nigeria saying that law has not infringed on that provision of the Constitution, then where lies the wisdom of thinking that it will have gagged Nigerians from enjoying that right? It has not infringed. Look, both the Bible and the Quran and all other religions of whatever nature have encouraged people to be truthful in their dealing. So the law is requiring you to say, please, whatever you are going to say about Shehu, please be truthful. And if you say something that you know is not true, you understand, the law is capable of, doing something about that. That's all. That's what the law is saying. Nothing stops you from saying what you believe is correct, and you. And
there will be consequences if you say the wrong thing, But when people make mistakes, people could make mistakes. They could.
You should be ready to take responsibility for your mistakes. You should be ready. A driver makes mistakes, and then he slip off the road, and then he somersault. Is that not taking responsibility?
But there are those who fear, Senator, that some of you and your friends who have been in power are corrupt, stealing Nigerian money. Yeah. And if you gag people, they will not be able to point out
that law did not guard people from saying that Balanala is a thief. He stole from A, from B, from C. It didn't. In fact, it even encourages so, provided you can say, these are the facts. It encourages, and let me tell you, it will have been very helpful. You see, Shehu, let me tell you, who is that leader that will be happy that the person he is leading does not have confidence in him, that he can look at him and call him all sorts of names, including being corrupt, being irresponsible, being, I don't know, all the invectives or whatever it is called. Who is that leader? That law, people didn't look at it very well. If they have done so, I'm sure they will have rallied around for it, and then Nigeria will have been in a better position today. Let me tell you, President Buhari, who himself felt, in fact, he was the first person who wrote, say, disassociating himself from that law. Take this law to him now and ask him, if you are the president today, what will you do to this law? I'm sure he will sign it even with his hand. That's correct, because he himself has become a victim. Everyone has become.
Do you think President Tinubu should act on it? Maybe an executive order in that respect.
No, you don't.
You heard what the NSA is saying.
But let me tell you something. I am not an advocate of executive order. That's where we are wrong. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria does not make Tinubu as an executive president. He is not an executive president. He is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So he does not have power to exercise executive powers to issue executive orders. They don't understand the Constitution very well. In America, the president of America is an executive president. So he can issue executive orders. You understand? In Nigeria, he is not an executive president. All these people calling themselves executive governors, there is nowhere in the Constitution where they are being given that right as being called executive. You understand? And they don't even understand the necessary entendlement of the expression called executive. So when you sit down and issue executive orders, you know what that means? You are indirectly encouraging a situation where the government will run the country based on its whims and caprices. You understand? Other than the Constitution and the law. Go and check the Constitution. Where in the Constitution did our Constitution say the president or the governor is an executive governor?
So it's an anomaly.
It's an anomaly.
So the executive orders are not constitutional?
They are not constitutional.
And they can't stand when it's challenged?
They cannot stand when it is challenged.
So there are a lot of presidents that make, Buhari has made it, Obasanjo signed executive orders.
Those are misnomers. Because let me tell you, today, if you meet any Nigerian, including those in government, they will say speaker has been impeached, governor has been impeached. There is nowhere in our constitution where impeachment is mentioned. What the constitution did is to say removal from office. And why did the constitution refer to removal from office? It is because under section 108, immunity has been given to governors and president in the exercise of the powers conferred upon them. So when they exercise that immunity, they cannot do anything that is criminal. For anybody to be impeached, he must have committed what in his nature and character is of criminal flavor. And therefore, he will be tried by the House of Representatives, you understand? And then establish the fact that those ingredients of the offense of that criminality alleged has been established. And let me tell you, Shehu, you know why you cannot impeach a president by you cannot take him to court? Take the last incident that happened when Trump was the president. Some of the allegations against him were of criminal nature, falsifying record, all that, and whatever. So, what the Constitution is saying that you cannot lead a country and then be taken from your comfort and be taken to court to face judges. No, we have already elected people that we have given power to impeach you if the offense is of criminal nature. Therefore, go to the House of Representatives. That was why he was tried by the House of Representatives with a committee, which submitted a report before it was now being to Senate for confirmation. Here, we don't have that provision in the Constitution. What we have is removal from office for both the governor and the president. So
what makes a president or a governor executive? And why is that not applicable in Nigeria? I imagine that what makes you an executive is your power to execute.
No, that's not. You see, in constitutional jurisprudence, I'm sorry you are taking me into this. Take America for example. Have you ever seen any American who is saying, I am a Spanish, or I am black, or I am... No, they are all saying I'm a citizen of the United States of America. But Shehu, you know me and you now. Me, I'm Hausa. You are Yoruba. If you look within this room, you will find maybe Efik. You will find Ibiobio. You will find Igbo. You will find others. So fear of domination makes it imperative for framers of our constitution to make sure that they do not put a power, that can be used by the president of a country in oppressing, you understand, maybe a certain tribe or a certain section of the country or whatever. And that was founded on our, what do they call it, national anthem, where we were hoping that God will help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed. These things are intertwined. But because people didn't read the entire report of the Constitutional Conference that gave rise to the framers of our Constitution to give us our Constitution, let me tell you, Nigerian Constitution is one of the most, I don't know, the most reliable, the most, I don't know, intellectually drafted document in constitutional jurisprudence. But you often hear people say, no, that constitution is not made by the people. It's made by military. But what the military did was simple. They constituted a committee. The committee came out with a document. That document has to find a way to the public. And therefore, it has to be by edict.
So you don't agree with those who say that that is not a people's constitution?
No. That's a misnomer. What makes them think it's not a people's constitution? What's your understanding when you say a constitution is not
that
made by
there are
the
no
people?
Contributions from the different nationalities?
Okay, Shehu, I'm coming. If you draft a constitution today and it comes into effect today, is it not going to bind your child that is going to be born next tomorrow? Is it not going to bind him as a citizen? Has he participated? If you draft a constitution in English, what about the Ikiti man who is just farming yam? What about the KB man who is just rearing cattle? Is he not going to be banned by the same constitution? In what way has he participated? You understand? So participation is not what determines the authenticity of the constitution. There are ways constitution comes into effect. And one of those things is acceptance. And I'll give you an example like Nigerian constitution. People were asked to nominate people to frame a constitution. They did. They brought it back to the military. Military now said, okay, by decree number 24 or thereabout, we are sending this document to you. That document says we have created office of president, we have created office of governor, we have created office of local government chairman, National Assembly, House of Reps, representative. And then we have equally provided for an independent National Electoral Commission to conduct election into those offices. Now, INEC came and said, look, we are ready to do election into all these offices. And Nigerians say, okay, fine, go ahead. And they came. Every section of this country participated in electing its councillor, electing its chairman, local government chairman, electing its governor, electing the president, the vice president, House of Reps, and the senators. So what level of participation do you want? What level of participation do you want?
There are thinking that if Nigeria has more than 250 languages, ethnic group, and over 300 different dialects and languages, there should be the contributions of the different nationalities that make up the Nigeria as an entity.
They have contributed.
And in that sense, Senator, in that sense, that the minority voices are being shut and it's not being represented, and the different nationalities and the different nuances that make up that frame up Nigeria is not properly represented in what we have as a constitution.
This country is ably represented in the House of Representatives. That's why you have 360 members. And you have less than 360.
We're talking about the Constitution, Senator.
That's what I'm saying. Is it not the Constitution that created the House of Reps?
No, but the Constitution was created prior to the 1999 handover. And it was created by a group of people under the military, from a military...
Those people, Nigerians, when I elected their members House of Representatives, can you show me any section of this country that refused to participate in the election of member House of Representatives?
So there's nothing wrong with the Constitution as it is.
There's nothing wrong with it.
We should leave it as it is. Those who are saying that we need to restructure this country by changing the Constitution, you don't agree with them.
They don't even understand how constitutions come about.
What about the 2014 confab? Do you think it should have been...
The 2014 confab with due respect, President Jonathan never had any authority, legal, moral, or constitutional, to constitute that committee. And I will tell you why. When he was elected as president, here in Eagle Square, he raised his hand, held the Bible, said he will uphold, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the law. Was there any law that gave him that power to do so? That's why you see, because the kind of democracy that we practice, nobody asks questions, so anybody can do whatever he likes. In U.S., what President Jonathan should have done, you understand, listening, is to write, by virtue of powers conferred upon me under Section this of the 1999 Constitution as altered, and then provision of so law, and other powers enabling me on that behalf, I hereby constitute a committee to be known and called confab or whatever. But he didn't have any of such powers. He was actually acting outside the Constitution and the law. And let me tell you, I was one of those who was nominated to go for that. I said I was not going to waste my time because I knew that the president had no power. And I went on media to say he had no power to do so. Okay, now, since that confab finished his report, beautiful as the report is, as being reported by news media and whatever, it has found almost all the legal hurdles that were available to be able to be discussed even on the floor of the Senate or the House of Representatives. You see, we must never, ever encourage people to go outside the how do I put it, the basis of engagement, the rule of engagement between them and those who elected them into power.
So, in your thinking, the 2014 confab was a waste of time?
It was a waste of time, waste of resources, because the person who constituted it never had the power to do so.
So, if President Jonathan at the time decided that confab report should transform into a new constitution, it would have been a legal disaster.
It would have been a legal disaster because he didn't have power. Look, the basis of engagement and the rules of engagement between him and those who elected him as president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria was the oath he was asked to take.
But there are legal luminaries in that confab. There was a Falanas of this world. There are the Michael Zekomers of this world.
It doesn't matter. Because where the pendulum, in this country, where the pendulum swings, if it's comfortable for a lawyer, he argues from every place. But I'm telling you that I've had the privilege of reading constitutional law, and based on my little understanding of constitutional law, there is nowhere that Jonathan had power to constitute what was called the confab conference. He didn't have that power.
But if we were to restructure, so you don't believe in restructuring?
I do.
If we were to restructure Nigeria,
I do.
How do you think that we could have gone about it?
If we are to restructure Nigeria now, what the president should do is to informally invite the 6 geopolitical zones of the country to send representation. Let there be a general discourse. If they agree and they feel that we can restructure this country along this line, then they have to go back to their people and sell the idea. And then a referendum can now be passed, and then an agreement can be reached between Nigerians that we are abandoning this constitution, and then we are restructuring the country based on this, and therefore a new constitution can come into being. But I'm telling you now, go and ask. I challenge the Land Attorney General of the Federation to show me where the president, under any law or the constitution which he swore to uphold, protect, and defend. Look at these three keywords. Show me where he had the power to constitute a committee to review the constitution. It does not. You see, let me tell you, in constitution making, there is what we call flexible constitution and a rigid constitution. And that rigidity is determined by the society in which that constitution is to be operated.
And Nigeria operates a rigid
one, yeah. And that is because...
Written, coded, rigid.
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of people came to negotiate a lot of things that were inserted in that constitution. And when you now allow easy, amendment of that constitution, that's why even the constitution says you cannot amend me. You can only alter me.
Senator, let me ask you, why does it look like every other time when there are some decisions that has to do with the unity, the togetherness of this, why does it look like the North is always at an advantage?
Well, let me. If you want the historical foundation, I will give you. There is no dispute that when our leaders went to fight for independence, Zeke, Awolowo, with due respect, may Allah grant them peace in their graves, and Tafawa Balewa, and all those who participated, they had an idea of what they wanted. And what do they want? A united country. That was what they wanted. And therefore, they negotiated on everything, virtually everything. And the idea then was, because the independence was delayed 3 years before, the actual independence. You understand? Because the North was saying they were not ready. Mm-hmm. Then, when the North now became ready, then they were asked, what are your fears? Number one fear, Shehu, was that we do not have sufficient educated people to compete favorably with the South.
And that was why the independence was delayed by another 3 or 4 years.
Exactly, yeah. So they say, okay, try to catch up. But even after 4 years, they could not. Then they say, no, we cannot wait any longer. We cannot wait any longer. So what do? They say, okay, we are now going to put in our constitution that the federal civil service will be based on federal character. You understand? And therefore, we will give opportunity for the North, to have its presence in the federal character, in the federal civil service for fear of domination. But in order to encourage unity, we are going to build federal government colleges where children from all over the country will come and unite, and they go to the same school, know themselves, know their cultures, and grow together to foster unity. Then the Gawan administration said, look, we are equally going to encourage National Youth Service Corps, where Shehu will be serving in Kebbi, and he will be drinking fra, and then he will be eating kilishi and whatever, which he cannot find where he comes from. That's to encourage unity. You understand? Then they said, okay, but you see, again, educationally, our children may not have the kind of facility you have, again, to compete favorably with your children from the southern part of the country. Mm-hmm. Then it was agreed, okay, let us do admission into federal institutions, that's universities, federal government colleges, based on what they call quota system. Mm-hmm. And that's why people confuse quota system with federal character. Federal character is applicable to the federal civil service, while quota system is a provision made for people to catch up in the federal institutions that were still established by federal government, federal university. That's why you can find somebody from Sokoto going to University of Lagos, going to Warri. My first admission was to go to Warri, to go to where's this place? Federal Government College, Warri. But not Warri. What is this place called? I can't remember. That was my first admission. So that was to encourage children to come together in all available provision made by federal government to enhance this unity. Unfortunately, we did not massage that. Then they said, okay, now, if you give us the same resources, we are going to have problem because we have land mass and we have population. Population in the sense that we are majority Muslims who will have 4 wives, 27 children or whatever. You are averaging 4, 3, 7. Then they say, okay, what we do is we are going to create your House of Representatives based on land mass and population. Can you see? Mm-hmm. Based on land mass and population. So after that formula was implemented, then the question arose, okay, now we have discovered that more than 67% of those who are going to constitute that very important National Assembly section will be from the North. So if anything is put to vote and they are to come together, they will always override us. They say, is that your fear? Okay, if that is your fear, we'll make it a full federation. So we'll create the Senate. The Senate will be based on equality of states, so that every state will just produce 3 senators. And then we will make the legislation to be bicameral, meaning one house cannot override the other one, and they must all agree on something. Those were all genuine efforts, to bring this country together by the framers of our constitution and former leaders. But people don't understand that. So,
but you don't think that the North is usually politically at an advantage against the South?
Yes.
And that those who are proposing and propagating the fact that because of landmass and population did not own the country.
No, it doesn't own anything.
But there are those who I'm very sure that you have heard that narrative that because of landmass and because the law says he who owns more of the land.
The narrative is not correct.
You don't agree with that?
I don't agree because
it's a very prominent northerner that was pushing that narrative.
No, he doesn't. He does not understand the structure. He does not understand the structure and the working of the country. You see, there is one thing you can never dispense with, Sheung, and that is education. You either have it or you don't have it. And you cannot make up with it. You understand? And what the North needs is to concentrate aggressively in educating its populace.
Is it not at a disadvantage because of education?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, there are those who believe that it is a deliberate way of you northern elites to keep your people perpetually uneducated and poor so that you can control them.
No.
But is that fair?
No. That's not the correct thinking. I will tell you why. You see, in a way, religion played a role there. The man who has not gone to school, he's been told that he can marry 4 wives, is allowed, and that he can give birth to 27, 30 children. You understand? Mm-hmm. So he's not even thinking that, these 27, 37 children, I have to educate them. And I do not have a house where I can provide 27 rooms for everybody to sleep comfortably. And you know what comfort does to intellectual development, Mm-hmm. So that is not correct. I think what is happening is that because of deficit of education, maybe, and I hope I'm wrong, maybe the leaders did not put in place what was reasonably necessary to accommodate that dislocation for the purpose of educating the populace. So rather, they leave it that way. That's how.
But isn't the failure of the leadership of the Northern?
It is. It is.
So you and your colleagues, Northern elites, you have failed your people.
Well, I will enter a plea of no guilty to that charge, in the sense that have we been given the opportunity, for example, to occupy, you understand, positions from which we can generate policies that will address these issues? If you don't have that opportunity, what do you do?
But the Northern elite have failed the people of the North.
Well, I don't want
with the rate of out-of-school children, the level of poverty in that, the backwardness that you see in development, isn't a sheer failure of some of you who lead the North?
I don't know what your definition of failure is. But
when people from that region of the country cannot favorably stand shoulder to shoulder with their colleagues in the South. They don't have the same advantage or the same opportunity that they have. Most of them are on the street. Do you know the number of millions of people, children who are on the street?
That was inherent. If I conversely now accuse the southern part of the country of moving with policies that deliberately put the North in the disadvantaged area, what will be your defense?
Is it the South that caused the disadvantages that you see in the North?
There are a lot of things that came to play.
There are those people who say some of the southern states there are deliberate efforts by some leaders in the South to keep the South more developed than you find in the North. These are debates.
Let me tell you.
These are conversations.
These conversations at times will generate something different because the understanding may be different. But let me tell you something. Unfortunately, we fought a war. After the war, you understand, the civil service of this country was hijacked by a section of this country. And therefore, deliberate efforts were made to make sure that their people are empowered as a deliberate issue. Deliberate policy was put in place, albeit not clearly outwardly, that can be read, to keep another section perpetually distant from the civil service of this country. You understand?
And you blamed leaders from the South for that?
Why will I blame them? I won't blame them. But I will say they betrayed the thinking of our heroes past, who believe in the unity of this country and who wanted to see a strong, united Nigeria. They betrayed that.
So you do not accept the blame on the northern elite for keeping the North underdeveloped.
They are not keeping maybe what I don't understand. You see,
you still don't agree that your children are on the street, Senator, in the northern part of the country. In their millions out of school, uncared for, uncatered for.
Let me tell you.
Is that not the failure of the leaders of that region?
It's not.
Who is responsible for them?
I don't want to say it's failure. You understand? Now, education is not something you pick on the street. It's a resource-backed enterprise. You understand? Now, can you honestly say that resource-wise, did not have opportunity to have the resources that will turn the North around educationally? You were able to do your own, Sheung, because I've given you an example that if you take 10 Sheungs from the South, their children will be averaging 3 and 4. Eh? Mm-hmm. If you take 10 Balana Allahs from the North, they will be averaging 12, 20. So if, for example, you give 1 million to Sheung to educate 4 children, and you give the same 1 million for Allah to educate 27 children, that doesn't mean I have 27. I have only 3. You understand? So you see, these things are issues that were as old as the independence of this country, and our leaders knew about this, and they have made efforts to make sure that that situation is reversed. Unfortunately, it didn't go that way.
Let me take you back to and I want to quickly summarize and wrap up on the issue of the executive powers. So it is not enshrined in it's not any part of our laws.
You have the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
You go and
so why do we continue to propose or talk about executive powers when it is not there?
In Nigeria, anybody can call anyone anything. Let me be honest with you. I'm sorry to say this on air. 85% of those who occupy public office today, who went into those offices after taking the oath of office, don't even know the contents of the oath of office they have taken. They just
so they are ignorant of the office in which they...
Yeah, if you want, you can conduct a research, stop any senator, stop any member of House of Reps, and question him about the Constitution. Ask him and then see what his reaction will be.
So most of them don't even know their duties, their role, and responsibility in which they have been elected for.
They are focused on that duty that gives them an advantage.
And what is that?
Whatever it is.
The Jews.
I don't know.
The money
that
comes out of it.
I don't know. But let me tell you, when you hear executive governor challenge him, let him show you where in the Constitution of the Federal Republic.
No executive governor, no executive president.
Just governor of a state, president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That's what the Constitution says. And if the Constitution does not mention something for you, you understand? Because that is the how do I put it?
Maybe a language of convenience.
No,
a coinage of a political coinage.
You cannot put language of convenience. Let me tell you, my brother and friend, may his soul rest in peace, late Justice Jega, was appointed a justice of the Court of Appeal. I participated in his swearing-in ceremony. When he finished his oath of office, what the Constitution say, so help me God. Then he said, listen to what he said, so help me Allah. Justice Owais is alive. Justice Owais nullified that oath because the Constitution didn't mention Allah. What the Constitution mentioned was God. So if the Constitution didn't mention executive, where did you get executive to be putting behind you and be dancing around and saying you are issuing this and that or you are executive governor? All these are things that psychopaths have promulgated to make them feel good, in the office in which they occupy. But I'm telling you, shall we go back to your house today, pick the Constitution, try as you will never see where our Constitution says a governor or a president is an executive.
Senator, you are a leader of the APC.
Yeah, I can say yes.
Are you still a member of the APC?
Yes. I'm a founding member.
Of the APC?
Yes.
But, I mean, what is going on today? Yesterday, I was having a conversation with former governor of Ekiti State, Kade Fayemi.
Yeah.
And he says that there seems to have been a disconnect in what the party should stand for as a social democratic entity in what is happening right now.
Yeah.
Do you also see that disconnect? Does it look like your party is failing or has failed in delivering the social democratic dividends that it was formed to be?
Now let me tell you, Sheung, all over the world, and go and check. When we talk about political party, it comes with a constitution, with organs in the party. Until those organs are allowed to work, the party can never produce the kind of leaders that will have capacity to translate its manifestos in governance. Unfortunately for us as a country, and it doesn't matter whether it's APC or a PDP or whatever, when you form a party, there are people who will come and join you. All they are looking for is ticket to contest for a given position or whatever. And because in most cases money plays some role, they have their way. I can tell you, I am a founding member. Fayemi will tell you, all the people will tell you, including the president himself, I am a founding member of APC. What APC was formed to address in this country, if we had disciplined ourselves, I'm telling you, Nigerians would not look anywhere for governance. But unfortunately, we allowed a window that allowed all kinds of people to come into the party and destroy it. And therefore, whatever good intention we had for the people, we could not translate it faithfully. Let me put it that way.
Would you blame Buhari for that?
You see, as a leader, yes. As a leader, Buhari came and became president on the mantra and the promise to Nigerians that he is going to reposition this country. There won't be corruption. Everything will work, well. But you and me know that today what we are hearing about the people he recruited to help him govern the country does not in any way, show connection between his vision and what they did while holding the office that he gave to them, what they did.
So Buhari should take the blame.
He should not
and
blame.
Should own up.
He should take responsibility that, yes, somewhere, somehow, he allowed people who did not share the vision of the party, to come into governance and therefore misled.
Did you think that some people took advantage of Buhari?
Yes.
Maybe because of his sickness or his state of health?
No.
Or you don't think that Buhari's nature?
Because of his trust.
That's who Buhari is?
Yeah. Because of his trust.
He trusts anybody?
No. He believed, erroneously, that the people he was going to work with, who were acting as first-class psychopaths, were the good people. And therefore, he thought they will translate his vision into reality.
So he surrounded himself.
Yeah, that was exactly what happened. And then, unfortunately, again, he now decided to seclude himself, from those who were capable of giving him good advice to redirect his thinking.
So the cabals took over the government.
I don't want to say cabals. I will say some few misguided individuals who, really put us into this kind of situation.
I mean, do you blame Tinubu for what is going on today? Because his government will say they inherited a bad state of the nation.
You see, my principle is to try as much as I can to cease to be, and I have not been glaringly, a sycophant. The blame that will go to Tinubu, if any, is that he did not study the situation correctly. And we must equally admit, and he himself must admit, that there are certain little missteps in the recruitment of those he believes have capacity to help him govern this country. Whether we like it or not, that is the situation. That is the situation.
So there are people around the president today who are not supposed to be around.
I am not so sure, even if he himself does not know this. And whether we like it or not, that is the truth. You see, when you want to...
And these are dangerous for development.
They are not more than dangerous for development, because you see...
Tinubu may not be successful if these people are still around him. Is that the case?
Well, I don't want to sound as a prophet of doom. I would rather believe somewhere, somehow, he will have a sober reflection of what he wants to achieve, of what he wants to be after leaving office. You understand? And decide whether the structure he has and whether the people he has around him have the capacity to make him achieve that. But I'm absolutely sure if he does that in a sober reflection, I am absolutely sure he will discover that that is not the position.
So we are in a danger zone.
No.
As far as the people who surround the president are concerned.
You don't say we are in a danger zone, because the president is the ultimate leader of the country. At any time, he can wake up from his slumber and say, okay, having tried this and having tried that and having tried this, I have come to the conclusion that this may not be promising enough for the country, and therefore I have found alternative. If he does that, fine.
But there seems to be some storm brewing, especially from the northern region of the country, against Tinubu, and there are threats about 2027. And I'm sure that you are hearing this.
Forget about that storm. In politics, those storms will always come. But the person with the best opportunity to reverse the situation is the one who holds it, and that is the president. Of course, you and me know that there have been agitations about appointments, about this, about that, about that. But you see, the president himself knows what he wants to achieve. And if in his thinking he believes that it is shown that has the capacity to do that, and he does that, that's okay. You understand? But that storm you are talking about might have arisen from the fact that there are certain expectations from certain quarters, maybe, that have not been met. And I keep on hoping they are genuine expectations, not personal.
So those things are not they are not posing any threat to Tinubu's. If he wants to go for re-election, they can't stop him from being re-elected.
He already has 2.5 years. He can change. Let me tell you, in governance, you can change the narrative in 2 weeks. You can change the narrative in 2 weeks.
But as it is today, if Tinubu goes to the poll, he might not be able to win.
I like the expression, he might not.
But he can change things.
Are you talking of likelihood or probability?
If it was in the UK, they could call for an election. But if it happens in Nigeria today, can Tinubu win an election?
This is a very catchy question. You understand? And it's very difficult to answer, not because I lack the capacity to say this is the correct position. But I do know that if you say today, yes, he might not win. But that doesn't mean that he cannot change the narratives between now and 2027.
Are the North or the Northern elite angry with Tinubu?
I don't know.
What are you hearing?
What I'm hearing is that around the country, people are angry with him for one reason or the other, which is normal. But I cannot say the North. It's all over the country. But, are you saying that there are no people in the Southwest now that are angry with Tinubu?
But we've seen.
And let me tell you, as president of over 200 million Nigerians, I think it will be, I don't want to say foolhardy, it will be, how do this English is becoming a problem to me. I think it will be simplistic for the president to think that he can please everyone. He cannot. And therefore, those that he cannot please must complain, and they have right to expectation from him because he's their president. You understand? But I'm telling you, in governance, if you take governance seriously, wallahi, you can change the narrative in 2-3 weeks in this country. You can change the narratives.
See, what
Nigerians are looking up to is a situation where they have a carefully constituted team that by merely looking at this team, they say, no, okay, by the grace of God, we are safe.
So you don't think this cabinet has that clout?
Well, if they have, will there have been complaints to this magnitude?
I mean, you are hearing that there is a clamor for a coalition, political coalition, ahead of 2027.
There will always be clamor for one thing or
but
the other.
You don't think it's strong enough?
Let me tell you, if you ask Father Kuka, me and him, we have a common saying. The more the thing changes, the more they remain the same.
So the status quo of 2023 can be sustained in 2027 or replicated?
The fundamental thing is that if you give the president the power, which unfortunately he does not have under the Constitution, to determine and choose who he wants to work with, then this country will be better. But as long as it is the political elites that will sit from the various states to nominate people, not necessarily based on merit, or integrity-driven consideration, and sent to the president for appointment, then the president can do little or nothing, because the Constitution says he must have a minister from each state of the federation.
But do you see nepotism in his appointments?
I don't know what your own definition of nepotism is.
They blame Buhari for nepotism. That there were a lot of his people from the region.
They will blame everyone for that.
So you don't think that Tinubu's appointment is nepotistic in any way?
No, I don't think. I can say it's lopsided, yes. Lopsided, I can safely look at it and say it's lopsided, but I cannot say it has to do with nepotism.
You raised a motion, Senator, to oppose the proposed, and that's in 2016, the data price hike.
Yeah.
Hashtag no data hike motion that you raised, and succeeded.
Yeah.
The NCC recently proposed with an alliance with the telecoms operators, an increase in tariffs, and this has sparked a lot of public outrage. With many Nigerians already struggling with the high cost of living, do you think these move is justified?
You see, it succeeded then because, with the greatest respect, we had the right frame of mind to really understand that it was not reasonably necessary at that time. I don't know what obtains now, and I don't want to delve into it, but I do know that in view of the inflationary trend that we are witnessing in the country, there are so many variables of providing communication that have been affected. And therefore, a review may be reasonably necessary. But as to whether the percentage of the review can be defended or not, I don't want to go into that.
But what do you think is best for Nigerians? If 2016, you said no hike in tariff.
Yeah.
If you look at the inflationary...
from 2016 to now.
And now, do you think that there is a need for us to...
That's why I say reasonably necessary now. But whether the percentage is okay or not is what I cannot argue.
Do you still... I know you like to fly planes. And you come from a family of... pilots.
Yes.
How many of you fly planes in your family now?
Well, all of us, my 3 children, but even though I have lost one...
Oh, sorry about that.
One is a captain, the other one is a first officer, and then myself, we still fly.
But you are not a captain yet.
Well, my captain.
Captain Ibn Allah.
Yes.
You still fly?
Till tomorrow.
You own your own aircraft?
Till tomorrow.
But I mean, flying, how does it make you feel?
Well, if you attempt it, it's going to turn out to be one of the best decisions of your life.
So you think I should start learning how to fly?
Yeah, you should be encouraged.
I don't think I'm smart enough to...
No, you are. An average person with average intelligence can do that, and you are far above that, with due respect. Not because you are here.
Aeronautic engineering is not that
It's just a matter of sitting down to commit yourself into it. It's
How long will it take me to learn how to fly?
again, that depends on your
ability to learn the
because
pace.
in flying, one may come today and then last for three years. The other one will come and last for just 1.5 years because it's phase by phase. You pass phase one, maybe let's say you know how to taxi an aircraft, interpret the instrument. Then after taxi, you know how to take off. After takeoff, you know how to come and land. Then after that, you are taught how to navigate, how you can leave Abuja and go to Ibadan without necessarily missing your way to go to somewhere.
And land somewhere.
That's navigation.
So you could fly any plane. You are licensed to fly any plane.
No, you are licensed to fly. I am licensed to fly fixed wing. If I want to fly any aircraft now, all I need to do is to go and do type rating. That's what we call type rating. You just go and do it and then you fly.
Your children have all of those other licenses, but you don't.
Yeah, I don't. I just fly for fun, and and I won't fly commercially, so I am too old for that now. Yeah.
But I mean, what do you see? There are a few accidents that have happened in the last 2 weeks in America. Helicopter crashing into an airplane. We've seen another one happen in Philadelphia.
Where Delta ran into.
Yes.
I think the Delta one, what I saw, he was trying to taxi an aircraft to somewhere and maybe lost sight of the length of the aircraft he was taxiing, and therefore his rudder went into the wing of the other aeroplane. The one in Washington, I think they are still investigating, but what is coming out from the little that we have had was that the helicopter was a little bit above the assigned altitude. If they had maintained the altitude given to them, that would not have occurred, possibly. But again, since it's under investigation, we have this culture in aviation that we don't say anything about an accident that has not been thoroughly investigated and then the result being provided. But at least as pilots, we can say these are possibilities.
Well, how would you rate or how would you describe the Nigerian aviation sector?
You see, the Nigerian aviation sector has been struggling. And as long as we continue to be stricter than what is required of us, we're not going to develop, to the level that is expected. The present minister is doing his best, but provided you are not well into aviation, there are so many things that may not necessarily be available to you for taking certain decisions correctly. But to say that he's doing his best, yeah, I know he's doing his best, but we will continue to struggle along that line until the day that we take a definite position about what we want to be in the aviation world. And that time, we might decide to now concentrate on expertise, that will be able to turn the industry around. Where we are now is a situation where someone will have an airline and then will try to see that others do not come in so that he recoup his, instead of allowing a level playing ground where everybody is there and the sky is big enough for all the aircrafts to fly, without colliding, and then provide the services to desiring Nigerians. But unfortunately, that's why you will see an airline will start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and then it will go under for a number of reasons. And if you remember, one of the interventions I made in 2015 was again to move another motion to critically look at this issue as it affects Nigeria. And I remember the Senator Kwankwaso Committee that was constituted then did a fantastic report. Unfortunately for us, the then Minister Hadi didn't find any of those things necessary to implement because maybe he had his own agenda.
You think Hadi performed woefully as a pilot who understand the industry?
I don't want to use the word woefully, but the level of expectation that should have come out from somebody who has been in the industry, has not been met. That is a fact. And
I'd like to ask you, does Nigeria need a national carrier?
It does. It does. And let me tell you, you can build a national carrier. You know, the kind of thinking that Nigeria has is what is making it impossible for them to have a national carrier. If Nigeria believes in one day, just like, what do they call it, bus transport system, they can just go and buy aircraft and come and put and start a national carrier. They will never do one. But you see, what you do is, let's say, make a commitment to buy 2 aircrafts. You can start a national carrier with 2 aircrafts. What do we do? During the daytime, we fly locally. In the night, we go to our African countries. You know, we go and come back. To go to Ghana from Lagos is about 40 minutes. You know, so you can do international flight to Ghana. Along the line, you are building crew. You are building other requirements for growth and development. Then you buy the 3rd one. When you buy the 3rd one, instead of going to West Africa, you now begin to go to, let's say, another continent, you know, maybe 3 times a week. You understand? You can decide to say, okay, let me go to East Africa. I'll be going to South Africa or Kenya or Uganda or somewhere where you can develop the route. Then along that line again, you acquire another one. You say, okay, I now want to be going to London. Somewhere along the line again, now that we have lost category 1, you understand, which I'm so sad about. You can buy another one and say, okay, from now we are doing Abuja, New York direct. And that's how you develop a national carrier. So you keep on growing, you know, gently, gently, gently. But if you think you can just sit down in one day and go and buy aircrafts and come and pack them and say, oh, yeah, pilots come fly, we are no, it's not going to work that way. It doesn't work that way.
Do you have hope that this country, the way we are, under this President Tinubu administration, we are headed in the right direction?
Even now, we are. But you see, we need more commitment. Let me be honest with you. If you don't say this, you are not being honest to yourself. We need more commitment to patriotism and national development. We need that from everywhere, but more especially from our leaders. Again, like I told you, in governance, you can change the narratives. Because you are the one there. Sit down in your sober reflection and think, okay, this is how far I have come. What are the gains? What are the losses? What are the pains? Whatever. What do I do to reverse the situation? And more especially in Nigeria, where the order of the leader is like law, you can change the narratives. That's a fact. And I keep on hoping that one day Mr. President will sit down and have a sober reflection of the journey so far, and then think along the line of rejigging and maybe setting new goals for himself, and then seeing what he can do about the country. But as it is, I cannot say we are not on the right path. We are, but again, we have to go through some pains, some of which are avoidable. Some of which are avoidable. Others may not necessarily be avoidable. But you cannot justifiably say that whatever we are going through, all of them are justifiable. No.
Senator Ibn Bala N'Ala, former Deputy Majority Leader who represented Kebbi South Senatorial District in the National Assembly. Thank you so much. It's indeed a pleasure having you on the Micon podcast. Thank you so much for coming. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah. But that's our conversation with Senator Bala Ibn N'Ala, and I hope that you enjoyed every bit of it. Well, until I see you next time, I'm Sean Kimale. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us on this edition of Micon Podcast with Seun Okinbaloy. Micon Podcast for the independent mind.